Hi, and welcome to another episode of Suave U podcast with Divyaa Advaani. Today on my show, I have Gaurav Sharma, who is a financial planning and analysis expert. So let us hear it from the man himself about how he started and when did he start. Hi, Gaurav. Thank you so much for being here on my show today. It'd be lovely if you could take us through your journey and how you started and why specifically did you get into this field of work.
Sure. Thanks so much, Divya, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure being a part of it. To tell you something about myself, I started my career with Genpact and have been into corporate finance from last 17 plus years, serving various companies like Genpact. Obviously, you have Infosys, IHG, Bharti Airtel, Innova Solutions. I'm currently working as an associate director for corporate financial planning and analysis uh,
Lovely.
at the company called Pyramid Consulting. And I did not start with FP&A as such, but as fate would have it, I gradually moved from. So I did almost all the parts of corporate planning, right from revenue to accounts payable to bit of payrolling, collections as well, a record to report primarily, and then I moved to the financial planning and analysis domain. So since
Right.
then, I've been doing it for a larger part of my career.
That's great. Could you tell me what are some of the tools and applications that you use?
Depending on your requirement and the size of the portfolio that you are handling. But the most common tools that we handle is obviously the Power BI for reporting, Anaplan, Tableau, SAP, Oracle, Hyperion. These are the most commonly used tools, apart from obviously the MS Excel and sometimes even the PowerPoint in the current scenario. But yeah, so mostly Excel, which is a given, which we don't even mention because everybody knows and understands it. But apart from Excel, the tools that I mentioned like Power BI, Tableau, SAP, Anaplan, these are some of the most commonly tools in FP&A domain.
That's a lot of tools, to be honest. And using a robust set of tools, I think, must be taking up a lot of your time as well, right? Getting all the tools to be used and even financially planning everything while you use these tools. A lot of work involved, I believe.
Absolutely. And I would want to add something that the list that I mentioned here is no way exhaustive. Sometimes companies develop their own tools basis their requirement, and we have a new tool appearing each day. So the list can be never ending.
Right. So having said that, understanding that the list is never ending and the tools that you use is quite a lot as compared to what you will be doing. But tell me one thing, while using these tools, is there like any, what is that one important thing that you feel that, the importance of communication in your profile? Because, while using these tools would be one thing, it would come on to the technical aspects or it would be on more onto the theoretical aspects. But how do you think how important is communication while you are dealing with all of this?
Mm, See, the foremost thing that any FP&A specialist would keep in mind is that we have largely one goal only, one
Mm-hmm.
and the only goal to have our planning realistically accurate or realistically practical, I would say. That's the only goal we keep in mind. So anybody can join a company and start doing planning for next year because it's all estimates, it's all
Right,
assumptions. So
right.
people feel that it's very easy. You just take numbers and estimate. No, our target is that whatever numbers we are projecting for next year, when the time actually comes, those numbers should be reasonably to the accuracy level. That's what
Absolutely.
our aim is. And tools are just a helping hand. Yes, they do help in terms of giving us the required data in the proper structure, in the proper format, because we deal with a lot of data. And having a tool in place certainly helps. Plus, the other thing is there's a lot of coordination with other departments. We need their inputs in terms of, it can be anything. It can be in terms of sales projection or the expense projection. So we need their inputs. And having a tool which can easily help us collaborate all these things effectively these certainly help make our job easier. So that's our primary purpose for any sort of tool selection. But yeah, ultimately the tool is just an accessory for you to make your job easier. Ultimately, it's your way of doing things. It's to how would you want your planning process to be as effective as possible? That lies on you.
Right. And that would also, I believe, involve a lot of communication to be doing, not just with your team members, but also with the clients that you're dealing. So, how important do you think is communication playing a role in your field of work?
Oh, very much. Communication is, I would say, the foremost skill to have. And I would also say that communication here is slightly different from what people perceive.
Mm-hmm.
While, yeah, the basic traits remain the same, that you should be able to speak confidently and address a larger audience. I would add one more skill to that communication part over here is you should have the ability to simplify the complex data for the senior management. Because
Absolutely.
one, they don't have time. Second, not all of them may have that financial insight that they would be able to understand your financial terminologies and everything.
Right.
So you should have this ability to simplify the data, present them in the simple and presentable format, and also make it crisp wherever required. So these are the common communication skills in terms of presentation. When it comes to coordination, we do deal with a lot of departments. So we just can't reach out to them and tell them, give us this and that. We have to go with a lot of homework. We should have a basic understanding of what they would be able to provide, how their department works, and what exactly do we need from them, in what
Right.
format and everything. So we should be able to convey our requirement effectively and then understand their end of the business. Then only we would be able to, effectively integrate all the processes and their requirements. So sounds easy, I would say, but in practical scenario, this is the most difficult part of FP&A.
Right. I absolutely get that. And I understand what would be the struggles that you'd be going through. But then, could you tell us what is something that people don't know about financial planning and analysis?
I deal with corporate financial planning and analysis, so not the personal one. So in corporate FP&A, I think there are many misconceptions out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so when I say from from job hunters' perspective, the most common is you need to have a master's in accounting. You need to have that accounting knowledge and accounting degree. While having an accounting knowledge or having the understanding of accounting basics certainly helps, it's not a prerequisite. In my career, I have seen people from non-accounting background not only joining but having a successful career in FP&A. That is one. Second is people feel that freshers don't get a chance in FP&A, which is again I would say a myth. We hire freshers. Yes, there can be stagnancy over the time or in phases, but it's not that the freshers are not given an opportunity in the FP&A domain.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, from the outside world perspective, people feel that we do nothing. We just do planning once a year and then we sit idle and that's it for us. It's an easy job or it's an easy task being an FP&A person. But like I said, planning is just one part of our entire work. FP&A stands for financial planning and analysis. So that analysis part takes most of our time, analysis and coordination and all those things. So yeah, it involves a lot of day-to-day I would say day-to-day activity, and it keeps us busy throughout the year.
Right. So you mentioned one very crucial point out here that freshers feel that they do not get a valid chance in the in this specific domain industry. So, because there are so many people who are wanting to start their careers and are still figuring out what topics to select or what is the career they want to get into. So, for somebody who wants to get into the financial planning and analysis field, what is that one tip you would like to give those people?
Mm, there are many tips I would want to give them actually.
Oh,
But
certainly. Go ahead.
and some of them would apply generally to every field, not only the FP&A field. For example, I would say fix your academics first. So whatever degree you're pursuing, have the masters in that degree. A lot of time I've seen people not say, for example, I'll just take chartered accountancy, for example.
Hmm.
People are not able to complete chartered accountancy and then they jump into job, and then maybe a couple of years later they think that I should complete my CA. So
Right.
then they go back while working, they try to complete their CA, which is obviously not impossible but very tough. Now, my advice is unless you have the financial commitment or financial constraint, try completing your studies first, your master's, your qualification, whatever it is, and then jump on to making a career. So fix that end first and then jump on to making a career. Unless there is a commitment or constraint where you have to go for a job. Second
Right.
is give equal weightage to communication and presentation while you are studying. So MBA peoples are comparatively lucky in that sense because they get equal opportunity to address a larger audience, while they are studying.
Yeah.
Chartered accountants, unfortunately, they are not given that opportunity. They are equally good and they equally have the capability to develop those skills. They just don't get enough opportunities. So they have to reach out and try and find out opportunities. So whatever way it is, try to develop your communication and presentation skills. Ultimately, this is the one skill that would make you stand apart from all your competitors. So then last, I would say that, that as you are moving or as you are starting your career, try to develop a niche, try to develop an expertise in one field.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, don't try to be a master of all, try to be, a jack of all, try to be the
Always
master of
master of
one.
none. Right.
Yeah. And keep embracing technology, I would say, at the same time. So try learning, keep learning the new apps, new softwares, new systems that are in place. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, these are some of the tips I would want the job seekers of the today's world to incorporate in themselves and make them market ready.
Lovely, lovely. That's a great tip that freshers out there would be getting. So thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers. Now, having mentioned about the freshers, we also understood that, there are certain skill sets that one should have. But is there any specific skill set which you feel that it could help one person develop to build a career in FP&A?
Love with numbers, I would say. So if you really like to see numbers and you like to see the data and you try to make a sense out of how the data looks like, how would a particular set of information would actually what does it represent? Then I would say you have a niche for financial planning and analysis because you have to deal with a lot of numbers. You have to remember a lot of stuff when communicating with different branch heads, different department heads. So, yeah, if you have that skill where you like playing with the numbers and making sense of the data in front of you, then I would say corporate financial planning and analysis is the field for you.
Right. So it's all the number game out here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lovely, lovely. So, the next thing I would like to ask you here, if there is one thing that you could change about your job, what would that be? There is that one thing, which you always felt, oh, this is not the right way of doing it. There should have been some other alternative to it. So, what is that one thing that you would like to change?
I'm trying to avoid a controversy here, but so obviously when you work in a field for so many years, there are things you would want to change. But then at the same time, you understand that some things are there because no one can really help it. It's the way it is. But yeah,
Right,
certainly when we do the corporate planning, there is a lot of I would say revisions of the plans, the targets, the budgets. Sometimes, it's a little too many revisions and sometimes it's little too late. So if I could, I would not evolve, not allow, too many version of revisions. Whatever we've done, even if it's slightly incorrect, let it be. Let's go ahead with that. That's one. Second is obviously which we do at our end, and I'm sure almost all the FP&A people do it. What they do is they try to create an awareness about FP&A in other departments, that what we do and what we expect from them. Because a lot of time it's not the fault of department heads if they don't know what why do we need a particular information and what are we going to do with it. They will not give us in a proper format.
Right.
So we just sometimes people just ask for information, and when they don't get in the proper format, they feel that the processes are not right. So it's not the fault of the process or the other teams, it's the fault of just the communication. So a little bit of extra effort to create awareness about FP&A and the requirement, and I think the job would be easier. So maybe that's the other thing I would want to include.
Right. So
Yeah.
you spoke about, data being incorrect, or, some a place where a person who's working on that specific data makes a wrong decision. So what is an impact that could be caused because of one small mistake in this field?
Mm, see, a lot of things may go wrong, I would say, because let's take an example of any particular expense. Now, what you do is when you plan an expense,
Mhm.
I'll just take a personal example
Sure.
to make it easier. Say I'm planning for what would I spend on the fuel, on my diesel, petrol, gas, whatever,
Right.
etc. I'll whatever I'll spend next month. So I'm planning what would be my expense next month. And
Mhm.
so how do I plan? I see my current month expense as rupees 15,000, and then I take the next month as slightly higher, say 18,000. So 18,000 is the amount that I would spend. Now, how does this thing work in the corporate setup? Say the same thing. You did an analysis of 15,000, and then you arrived at the next month projected expense of 18,000.
Mhm.
Then you would pass on this number to your accounts payable department that your budget is 18,000.
Right.
That means they know that they are not allowed to spend more than 18,000. So accordingly, they would approve the invoices, accordingly, they would take the services and everything. Now let's go back and see, for example, that amount of 15,000, it was not 15,000, it was actually 25,000, but mistakenly they gave the number of 15,000 as actuals.
Hmm.
Because of that, your planning is screwed, and because of that, your projected spend is screwed, and that budget is also not in a good shape. So
Right.
what you should have actually passed on to the accounts payable number is incorrect, and the whole chain, the whole cycle is affected because of this one small mistake. So while it's a joint effort, I would say it's primarily it's the responsibility of the FP&A person, that he should do a sense check before trusting any numbers from any department heads, because ultimately the planning ownership lies with the FP&A person. It's a tough job, but it is what it is. That's what makes it important.
Right. So you mentioned about, how it is the person's responsibility to be making double checking the data for that matter. But there could also be times when, they do not get enough time, or they are on a time crunch and they have to get some jobs done in a certain period of time frame. So what
Mhm.
about them? Do they have any person working with them who can guide them, or is it a sole responsibility?
Mm, See, it's obviously FP&A. As an FP&A, you have the team supporting you, and then you plan your work, and then you hire people as per your work commitments. So planning is important. So while you have the responsibility of doing the financial planning of your company, you should have the basic skill of at least planning your work and hiring people according to it. And at the same time, during the planning time, even no matter how many people you have in the team, you always feel like you are short staffed because there's so much of work. So
Right.
that's where a bit of preparation and homework comes handy. So you plan for things in advance, and then you communicate to the department heads, that this would be our requirement, and you do a bit of historical analysis, you develop checkpoints and everything. So it all boils down to how much prepared you are for the work that is about to come. And that's where the experience matters, I would say.
So you made a very nice point here that experience matters. And earlier we were even talking about the freshers in this industry. So what is what about those freshers then who are just starting their career in this field and are kind of clueless? I mean, they would have theoretical knowledge, but when it comes to practically applying that knowledge, it's a different ball game altogether. So how do you try and help those people out?
Uh, it's a very good question actually. See, basically, and this would apply to every field, not only FP&A. If
Right,
you are a fresher, obviously, when you land in a profile, you will always have to work as an intern, try to learn things, try to grasp about industry knowledge, and find a mentor who can impart his guidance, his knowledge to you, so that you learn things about not only the FP&A but about the particular industry. How does it operate? What's its revenue recognition policy? What are the common expenses and everything? So it takes time, but at the same time, it becomes fun when you start doing it, when you start understanding things. And that is why a bit of stability, I'm not asking someone to marry the organization, but a bit of stability is important, especially at the initial stage of your career.
right.
Uh, because when you are in a company for a considerably slightly longer period, you tend to understand things. You have done the planning for 1 or 2 years. Now you know what are the things that you should be prepared for. So it won't come from day one itself. It would certainly take time, and it applies to everyone, whether you are a fresher or an experienced individual. For an experienced individual, the things may be slightly easier because he has seen things. For a fresher, even though you are brilliant academically, from practical point of view, you need to still continue to learn and continue to grasp things, continue to be mentored with a senior member, and give some time and have patience. And I'm sure with time you will have that understanding.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm sure that people out there who are just planning to start and are kind of considering this specific field to be taking their careers ahead in, this is going to help them tremendously. And you also mentioned one very nice point wherein you said that people, when they join into a company, it's good and advisable to be spending comparatively a longer period of time rather than jumping and hopping through companies. It definitely helps in their personal growth and understanding the field better. So thank you so much for sharing such great insights with us. Is there any departing message that you would like to give our viewers?
No, I think thanks for having me here. It was really nice reflection. I really enjoyed it. I would only say to whoever is watching it that, especially if you're looking for a job, if you're into job hunting, currently, let's be honest, the job market is tough. There is a stagnancy, but this is just a phase. Don't get disheartened. Uh, Continue to upgrade your skills. Nowadays, you have more opportunities to learn than ever. You have internet at your disposal. You have platforms like LinkedIn, uh, YouTube, etc., where you can log in and where you get to learn a lot of things and develop your area of expertise. So make use of all of that thing. Update your CV continuously, and network with the right set of people, and ultimately I'm assuring you that you will land a good job with a good pay. And my only request to you is, once you land that, give it time. Don't uh, hop job just for the sake of money. Now, this comes with a caveat. I'm not saying that you should not change jobs at all, but at least when you are new to your career, give it little time to develop that understanding. And I wish you a happy and fruitful career ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that great advice and also for the insights that you have provided us with the financial planning and analysis sector. And I'm sure that many people out here who are watching are going to benefit a lot from it. So thank you so much for your time and for letting us know better about this field. For all those of you who found this podcast very useful and it has helped you in some way or the other, or if you know anybody else who wants to get into this field of work, into financial planning and analysis, Don't forget to share this video with them. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would request you to please click on the subscribe button and also on the bell icon next to it so that you get notified each time that a new video is uploaded. I keep coming up with different kind of stories wherein I get different people from different backgrounds to come and share their experience and how they have reached where they are today. So if you want to get inspired by such stories, do not forget to click on that subscribe button. And if there is any specific thing that you would like to ask or you would like to know more about, you can put it in the comment section below. We'll try our best to be responding to each of your comments. Thank you so much. And until I see you next with a new story and a new person and a new background, keep smiling, keep shining.